This episode is brought to you by Ardan Labs Education. Sign up today to learn advanced concepts in Go, Docker, Kubernetes, Terraform, and more. Visit ardanlabs.com/education for more information.
Welcome to the Gno.land Labs podcast. Our special guest today is Manfred Touron. Manfred, where are you coming from, bro? I didn't even ask you that yet.
I come from France, near Paris. So, yeah, French, and you will notice with my French accent.
Is that where you are right now today? You're living in Paris?
No, near Paris in Normandy.
So outside Paris somewhere. Nice. Okay, so this is a show about you. We've been fortunate enough to get you on the show. One of my favorite things about having guests who I don't know at all is they tend to be some of the best interviews because I don't have anything going on in my head about trying to drive to a certain story. We don't know each other at all, which is really, really awesome. So let's start this off. Give everybody the 2 minute sort of elevator pitch on what you're doing today. What is Manfred doing today?
So today I'm working on Gno.land. It is a blockchain developed in Go, where we develop a new language based on Go. So we develop Gno, which is basically an interpreted version of Go with more security and other new features that maybe doesn't make sense for most of the Gophers, but makes a lot of sense when you try to make deterministic code running on blockchain. And we try also to make blockchains less about finance and more about contribution. So yeah, blockchains with more Go and with less finance.
So this is Gno.land. So it's pronounced Gno. Is that what you just said?
It's pronounced Gno.land, No.land.
Gno.land. Okay,
Gno.
Gno.land.
It's we wish people will just invent new ways of saying it. So there is not a single way.
Your company has been sponsoring some of the conferences. I saw a couple booths last year. One at the GopherCon EU. I think you were at GopherCon USA as well. So you're out contributing back to the Go community, which is awesome. And I remember talking to somebody as well at the booth about what you were trying to do here with the blockchain.
But it was me, but I had long hair.
Oh, was it you? I was talking
Yeah.
with you. Oh man, cool, awesome. Yeah, we talked for like about an hour, a little bit. The cool thing is that I wanted to learn this technology a couple years ago, so I built a reference implementation of a blockchain in Go. So I've got pretty good understanding of the semantics. But I find it interesting, anybody that wants to build a sort of new blockchain with sort of Ethereum out there, which I guess owns a big part of, I don't know if you call it the market or not, but between Bitcoin and Ethereum, I just find it interesting when somebody's building something new. So this is going to be a layer one blockchain that's out there competing with those other blockchains, except you just said that you don't want to focus this on finance, you want to focus this on contribution. So just talk to me about that again.
So we are a new blockchain, a new L1. We can say that we are similar to Bitcoin and Ethereum, but in practice, Bitcoin is not really much about smart contract. It's definitely about sending assets. Ethereum is about smart contract. It's about having Turing complete computing, but with a new language, a lot of constraints. And basically, I consider that Ethereum is for elite people doing simple applications. So maybe we can make a parallel with the world we know together at the time of assembly, before C. Before C, it was possible to do applications, but very few people were able to do it, and applications were limited. I believe what we are doing with a new language is basically to offer something similar to C after assembly. So we are also offering a Turing complete language, but we add the notion of reusability, of making a code that everyone can read and write, so not an elite. And we try to push the boundary on reusability, complexity, so simplicity actually, no complexity, to a very, very, very high level, so that we just don't upload smart contracts that are not transparent, that you can just interact with, like an API, like the Facebook API. You don't have the source, but you know the interface. That's what we have with Ethereum. We try to make, with interpreted Golang, something where you can execute a contract, but you can also import it. So for Gophers, where you were used to basically using packages for to import them and mains to provide applications, we mix the two together. You upload things, you upload contracts, and a contract is something you can interact directly with, or you can import. And when you import, it's not about opening a gRPC socket or whatever. It's you import it, you have the type safe, you have everything. You have complex types, you have pointers, you have yeah, recursive structures, etc. And you just write Go. So if you make another parallel with the world of microservices in Go, you will always have the initialization and opening a gRPC socket. Opening can fail, sending can fail, receiving can fail. You need to marshal something. Maybe you have a good library that will marshal for you, but you need to marshal. And here we are trying to use the language you know, but you usually work alone on it. You fetch your repository, then you will be the only one um, building it locally. Even if there is a binary at the end, there was only one compiler. Here we really want to make a multi-user Golang alternative, where when you upload something, it's not only for people to interact, it's also about importing. So in practice, with the smart contract systems that are always about adding new contracts, not about updating and deleting, you can expect to every day have like an stdlib that grow like the Go mode actually, but with the data. Go mode is about having new libraries every day. Here you will have the libraries and their data. So you don't switch from GitHub for the source to an API to get the data. You import whatever you want.
All right, so let me see if I can interpret everything you said. So the idea is you're using some form of Go to write these smart contracts, right? You built a Go-like language around that. And the idea is that the blockchain is still driven by smart contract applications. That's there. But you're
The,
separating.
the smart contract is in Go. It is not a smart contract in Go. We have a single virtual machine for smart contracts. There is not additional layer. The blockchain receives the transaction, send it to the VM executes, and we take into account the modification. Single
But
layer.
you found a way to separate the data storage from the actual code, so I could update that code um, and still continue to use the data that was associated with that.
Yes and no. You cannot update code. You can add a new version. You can create patterns to reuse variables from the V1 in the V2, etc. But what we found was a way to automatically persist data. So I said one difference we have with Go is we mix import and runtime. We don't have packages and mains. We have contracts. Second thing we change is on Go, when you run your binary, you will call the init function, then you will code your code, and if you stop the application, you start again, it will call the init again, etc. In Go, when you write Go, actually, you don't write only Go. You write Go and SQL, Go and database, Go and file, Go and API. Because each time you restart, you want to have the state. What we made is to automatically persist all the global variables. So for so many people, having global variables is a bad practice in Go, and that's something I agree with on Go. Here we just want to make it transparent in a way. So a daemon, you run the daemon and it executes what was planned. Here you upload a contract with maybe 10 exposed functions. Technically, there is no start, there is no stop, there is just new features that you can call. And people will call one endpoint, another, or maybe the same one so many times. And here we just abstract the global variable. So each time they need to be read or written, they will be automatically. So if you make a parallel with another well-known ecosystem, it's the mobile phone. On Go, you start your program, you stop it, you start, you stop. On mobile, you start, you pause, you resume, you pause, you resume, you pause. And we basically have the same, except that the resume take a function name and arguments. So, but yeah, it's the concept of starting once. The init function is just done when you upload your contract. Then the init function is here for your information, but it won't be run again. What will be run is what people will call directly or by importing your contract.
So let me ask you one last question. One last question before we jump into the time machine, which is what this podcast is really about. But and we'll get back to some of this at the end. But I'm curious, what kinds of apps are you looking for, expecting people to build on Go Go.land as opposed to say Ethereum? Like, why should I go on your blockchain as opposed to Ethereum? What are you looking for in terms of apps?
So when I said we want to be less finance centric, it's for two things. One, about what people will build, because on Ethereum, definitely people are building finance applications most of the time. Just for a single reason, it's because it's hard to do something else. Because Ethereum is good to manage arrays of numbers. It can manage balances, it can manage the ownership, references. But if you want a structure, if you want pointers, if you want recursive pointers, if you want to make loops, everything is hard, expensive, and people will avoid. And now we want to reduce the finance-centric part of blockchains by changing the way blockchain works internally by having a new consensus, not based on money. But we also try to make a language that will allow to not write only finance, but also social coordination. Social coordination can be about a social network, but decentralized, with no single point of trust no need to trust your organization, your internet provider, the developer in Facebook or whatever. Can be news. Social connection can be about news and fake news and relaying news. It can be about democracy, vote, governance. So before having a country can be maybe to manage the vote of a club, a community, an organization, what we usually name DAO, decentralized autonomous organization. And the last, which will be about truth, so truth like Wikipedia, but with more control on what could be the process to go to the truth at the end. So basically, a more process-oriented Wikipedia, where the truth is the final result, but where we focus on making a system where each actor is working transparently. So basically, yes, social coordination. If you want a good example, on Ethereum, the first contracts were Hello World and things to manage tokens, coins, so financial stuff. On Gno, the first contract we wrote was a forum. And a forum is definitely something so many gophers will write at some point to learn Go. It's something relatively simple to write a forum. You have the post, you have the comments, you have the users. And on Ethereum, it's super, 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 super hard. And here it was the first contract we wrote because it was easy. So yeah, definitely we want to be less finance centric. And today we build new social coordination tools. Maybe tomorrow we can expect with good performance, better UX, better adoption, we can maybe expect to start replacing commodity apps you use every day to communicate, to exchange, to organize, to maybe replace an organization. So you can maybe replace the HR, the payer, the project manager by a blockchain. That's something we try to do internally, at least for us, more for dog fooding. But yeah, definitely it's more about real project and not only balance management projects.
All right, we're gonna get back to this because I've got some other questions, but we got to jump into the time machine here. So couple of questions that the show always kind of starts with. The first one is I just want to know what year it was when you finished great. I know you grew up in Paris, so things are a little different than the U.S. here. But at some point, you finished grade school. Normally, when you're about 17, 18 years old, that's when you got to start thinking about college or university. What year was that? Don't give me any information just yet, but kind of what year was it when you were about 17, 18 in that time?
So 17, 18, it was in 2006, and I finished my computer school, my IT school in 2008, and switched to security teacher.
Yeah, don't tell me anymore. Don't tell me anymore. Don't tell me anymore. We're gonna get there. We're gonna get there. All right, so about 2006. Okay, and I do that because it gives us kind of a general idea of where computing was at the time. All right, here we go. Now you got to clear your mind, clear your head. Don't think too hard here. Ready? First thought that pops into your head of you working on a computer. Very first thought.
Um, I was trying to mod some games, so I was playing games, and I noticed that we can customize and script the games. And then my friend showed me how to automate um, making some sound when my door was opened. So basically, I put some wire on the printer port and I wrote a QBasic program, and the QBasic program was reading the printer port. And once the contact was done, it was making some noise.
Wow. So you built your own little alarm system, so you knew the door was opening and closing.
Yeah,
That had to be exciting at 10 years old, getting a computer to do something that low level.
yeah. It was QBasic, so very basic, but still it was programming.
Yeah, yeah. And that was it. Then you were hooked. Then you were hooked. That's it. You wanted to just
Yeah, sure, sure, definitely.
talk to me about, I'm going to call it the high school years at 14, 15, 16, 17. What were you doing at that time? Were you playing sports, music, art? Just talk to me about that kind of time in your life.
So it was a very bad time for me. I was the worst student in my class, and teachers were saying you won't do anything in your life. So it was very hard, frustrating. And on the side, I was doing some music and drawing, and yeah, I was keeping myself busy on other things, some computer when I was home. But yeah, it was hard.
You just, I wasn't a good student either in high school. I think I was more immature than anything else. I wasn't interested. I did exactly what I needed to pass, but I didn't do much more. It sounds like you're kind of in that same boat.
Yeah. No, but I switched high school, so I was really the worst one. I'm not abusing. Technically, I saw the average, mean, and max of the class, and I was always the minimum score for everything. And then I switched to something which was with computer. But yeah, school without computer was very very bad time for me.
Yeah, because I was kind of in the same boat, I think, but I was fortunate to have a computer at home and I was spending a lot of time sort of programming and learning. And I knew going out of high school, I wanted to go to university for computer science. I didn't know if I could get into a school other than the state schools that would have to accept me, which is where I ended up going. But what's going on is you're about to graduate from there and you've got to make those next choices.
Yeah, I take my ego first. Um, so your question was about after high school?
Yeah, so you're telling me like you weren't a good student, really weren't getting those kind of grades, but at some point you got to make a decision on what happens once you graduate.
When I started my last year of high school, I decided to not choose something at this moment. I decided to make another year because I was just feeling immature, and I said I just don't know what I want to do. So I just make the year without um, pressure. I finally get my diploma. And then I tried to come back in high school, but they said, sorry, you have your diploma, you cannot come again. So I had to choose what to do, and I wasn't sure. So I said, let's try to do some Erasmus, so just to travel to learn English and actually to have one more year to decide what I want to do. And I remembered a friend in my school saying, "Oh, I will do some computer science school. The name is Epitech." Uh, and I was curious. So 2 weeks before September, which is when we start the school again, I just went to the Epitech website, and basically it was written, "You don't like school. School is not for you." So everything was exactly for me. So I went to this school. I explained during the interview process. So I am very bad at school, but I do computer for fun on the side. and they basically said you are the most compatible candidate. So I was just concerned, what are you talking about? Finally, 2 weeks after we start the school, and yes, I wasn't the worst anymore, but the best. It was just a revelation for me. I went to school with passion. I went to school and I was able to basically have all the creative and yeah, all the good things about school that everyone has, because they have recognition, they can draw beautiful things, read beautiful things, write beautiful things, learn cool things. I discovered this at 18 years old in my computer science school. So I was there day and night. Uh,
Was this a technical school where you were just focusing on computer stuff, not like liberal arts or anything like that? Just,
no, coding. It's epitech. It's project-centric school. You have challenges. You always have things that you don't know, something new, and the goal is to make it happen, even if you don't know how and you don't have teachers, and you need to figure out a way of fixing everything. And it was so compatible with me. So yeah, I made this school for 2 years, and after I stopped to become teacher in that school in security.
wow. So you did, so it was a 2 year sort of degree,
It's a 5 year
or was it
school.
5 year? Okay.
And at the end of the second year, I switched to teacher. I created the security laboratory with another security guy, and I switched to teacher.
So you never finished the 5 years, and did you end up getting a job at this place?
Yeah, definitely. No one was asking for a diploma here, and I had a reputation by creating the lab. I started doing some open source code. So the only times people asked me the diploma was for visa or for other reasons, but no one cared about my diploma except some visa, etc. Yeah.
So like 2 years into the program, you're able to get a job there, and then you start being a teacher.
Yeah, but it was a very good school on this. I had so many. I didn't sleep that much. I was doing some polyphasical sleep at that moment, and I stayed at school day and night, and I was doing all the project plus side projects. I learned more with side projects, and at some point I discovered security. It was just a new passion, and I proposed to the school, what about creating a security topic with subjects. They said okay. They gave budget. They gave me assistant, and we created the laboratory, and we manage security topics for the four first year out of 5. So I even gave security courses to people in years after me, older than me.
What secure the word when I hear the word security, it is so vague to me because security touches everything. That I always have to ask, like specifically, what were you teaching at that point around security?
We are special. So one of my colleagues with whom I created the laboratory was definitely about teaching kernel security. So it was low-level security with a lot of assembly and operating system theory. On my side, I was more about creating platforms to simulate security issues and to make realistic pen testing challenges. So I made one for web. I made one for Unix exploits, where at the moment we didn't have Docker, but on FreeBSD you had the jails, which was basically the same, like a shroot on steroid. So we were able to give virtual computers to every student, and their goal was to become root of the jail or to go outside of the jail if they had a zero day. We made another one to reverse a Game Boy game, a fork of Pokemon. So about learning reverse engineering. What else? We had one which was a
How did you? Okay, time out. How did you learn all this stuff to get to a point where you could teach it? Because I don't. You're going to school to learn this stuff, and within 2 years, you now are able to put a curriculum together. Now, some of this is advanced stuff. This isn't like just
I think security can be learned, but it's really about feeling. Um, I discovered security not in the school, because actually I created the security courses in my school. I discovered security by doing pen test challenges, and basically what I noticed is that I don't know what I'm doing, but I can imagine what could go wrong. So that's the first thing. It's definitely more about practicing and feeling that you can be the developer. What could go wrong, and most of the time it's just a pure feeling. You see a website, you see a binary with a strange behavior. The strange behavior will tell you you should try to dig that part of the CLI of the website of the Unix binary, and then you can just look on Google, look everywhere, and learn and discuss with other people. But basically, yeah, my two skills that allowed me to discover security alone was that I can feel how the developer made the challenge and try to just expect. Yeah, I can just then try several attempts to basically find a bad behavior, a panic, whatever. And the second thing about security is about being able to zoom out. um, when you write a program and when you think about security, you will see line of code. In practice, security is definitely about, okay, but the code will run on this server with that database and that networking configuration. And the second skill I had was to have a good architectural big picture. I can zoom out and see basically what can happen, what can go wrong, not in the code but around.
My guess is you must have been school and hacking all day. Like that's all your life was, pretty much. You weren't doing much of anything else at that point to have learned, amass that much knowledge in a couple of years.
Yeah, the school was not so complicated in terms of being yeah, basically I had a lot of side projects, and some of them was to discover new languages using Project Toler. I don't know if you know Project Toler. I learned new languages with challenges because it's, yeah, you have no pressure. It's just about doing some mathematics, and you can learn Python, Ruby, whatever. And I made some penetration test challenges, and each time you don't understand, you try to understand. So yeah, basically school was a very robust foundation. I learned C. I learned to be consistent. I learned to Unix and yeah, system wide constraints. I learned assembly, etc. And on the side, I learned the rest. I learned security. I learned containerization, um, music theory.
So how long were you teaching at this school? Because my guess is you started teaching in around 2008, 2009. You took
2011.
a year off. 2011. Yeah, you took a couple years off. So at 2011, you started teaching. How long did you do that for?
Sorry, I finished in 2011 after 3 years.
3 years. So 2000 and you're saying 14, you finished.
No, I finished in 11.
Oh,
So
2011, you finished, right?
I,
Okay.
I started my school in 2006 and finished in 2011, but in 2008, I switched from student to teacher.
8. Okay. So in 2011, you're now finished. You were teaching. You still finished your schooling. So what are you thinking? You're going to stay and teach, or you wanted to sort of move on and do something else?
Now, I set up my freelancer status during school. So I was doing some project on the side, security project or just builder project. And so I made security challenges, and as I said, security, when you don't know and when you don't have courses, is definitely about being curious, having the big picture. So things that I believe are very, very good skills for architects and for senior developers later. And my specialty in as a teacher was to create platforms. So with platforms, what I have data, and I was able to basically have the top 5, top 10 students each year, and basically I met all of them. And when I finished school, I just created companies with my best teachers, my best students. So yeah, I just switched from freelancer to company with the same people. And after, I think, yeah, if you look in Gno, so 13 years later, I still hired someone from that period. I hired so many people in my top student list. Because yes, top student in security, where you don't have courses and you just have good, always growing challenges, definitely gives very good result to get amazing candidates.
So essentially, you took the freelancing work you were doing and turned it into a business, like a real full-time sort of business, and you were getting clients. that business was focusing mostly on what security related stuff, I imagine.
50% security, 50% building. The building business model was to find partners that had a competitive advantage in their field, looking for IT, and we just took shares and just a little bit of money to build project. So one of them was with a casino. Another one was for a music band in the UK who wanted to have live animation in stadiums on big screens and live applications to basically send tweets from all over the world and see outside of the event what's going on in the event and see in the event what people are saying everywhere in the world. So I was a lot in the event live and
I mean, these are cool projects. For those people that are listening that are looking to start their own businesses, one of the biggest challenges is finding clients that have cool projects that are willing to hire you because you're so small. So can you talk a little bit about that? How did you find these projects and these clients, and how did you convince them that they should trust to hire somebody as small as you were at the time?
So we found them as freelancer because those companies can be afraid of hiring a small company, but they usually hire freelancers. And when the freelancer collaboration is going well, and the freelancer say, "Oh, right now I am not alone. We are two, we are three, we are four, but I'm still there, no problem." Basically, they easily switch from single freelancer to a company. So we had new customers, but most of them were a recycle of the previous ones.
Yeah, it's the hardest thing finding those first few clients that are, even if you're just putting one person in there, it's not easy to get those gigs. There's a lot of competition around that.
I usually try to sponsor new freelancers because on platforms like Upwork, Fiverr, I know that when they have zero experience, no one will try to take them. And once they have a few successful missions, then they get new missions regularly. So I usually try to give opportunities to new freelancers.
But your business model, I think I heard you say that you would charge less than probably others because you would take a piece. So was that your model? I won't charge you a full rate if you give me a piece of the project.
Yeah, basically we wanted to find projects we enjoy and to consider it our project. So we are not doing a project for based on specifications. We create the specifications, and if we want to adapt the specifications, we do so. For this, we need to be partners. We need to be interested in the success of the other. So for a casino, they don't have developers, but they have the reputation. They have all the knowledge about casino. You can easily find something, and you say, okay, let's create a new small company, a joint venture. Let's take, I don't know, a 70-30. You sponsor this, we do this, etc. But in practice, you're incentivized to go fast, to make good products, and to adapt. And that's what we wanted, to work with people we definitely don't want to compete with in their business, but that also are looking for advices and development skills. And it works well, actually. Maybe less today, but in 2011 it worked well.
Yeah, I feel like that business model can get super complicated at some point because you still need to get enough cash coming in to put milk on the table and to run the business.
That's why it was hybrid. We took less shares, like 30 and 70 for the others, maybe 20, 80, but we asked some monthly money. So for the security part, we had few money, but enough to survive or to pay new developers that we hired specifically for the mission. And we definitely expect the project to be successful and to have our shares making money.
But now creating all these little businesses that you're a partner in is also super complicated because at some point all that has to get dissolved. At some point all that sort of closes down.
On this point, actually, yeah, on this point, actually, my goal was just to partner to find co-founders that were compatible with me. It was about technical architecture. They were more about administrative sales. In practice, that's another good point of having a team. You can just be complementary on the required skills.
Did you ever meet clients that just wanted didn't want to do the partnership stuff? They just wanted to pay you, and you just were not interested in that model?
Or maybe we met and we said from day one, sorry, that's not for us. But
So how long did this all starts in 2011? So how long did you run this business with all these partners and all these projects?
for 1 year and a half full time. But actually, I started before as freelancers, so I consider this freelancer period as something like 3 or 4 years in total. 3 or 4 years working for other clients, basically.
So that takes you to about 2006, 14, 15. So what happens that you decide that you don't want to do this anymore?
So yeah, it was. So we made the last mission in a company that I decided to join. So we made a mission for a company. We made the launch of the French mobile provider Free Mobile. It was a live streaming. We had at this moment a world record in terms of amount of viewers. So we had, I don't know, four racks in the data centers full of servers just to manage the load. And yeah, we made more viewers than the Super Bowl at this moment. Today it's impossible, but at that moment, Super Bowl was more on real TV and not so much on internet. We made this mission, and I just enjoyed so much working with this company that I said, "Are you looking for? Can I join the company for and do something because I just love your company?" The company was a French provider of internet, so free, and they had a data center offer to rent dedicated servers. And I just loved everything about their challenges. They had hardware challenges, they had so many things. So I said, can I stop doing multiple clients as a company of services and switch to becoming an employee of a company I just love?
That's interesting, man. That's like you walked away from a business to now become an employee because you love the tech so much. What about all what about your team members? Was the plan to get them hired there too?
So yeah, basically, my main co-founder decided at the same moment because he had the same feeling. He was with me, but he didn't find a good position for him in the same company. But he went 200 meters away in a VC. He became a VC. So we continued to sit together and to act together. And all the other employees were relocated to projects. And I know that some of them are still 10 years after working in the same companies. So yeah, we stopped the business. I moved to a data center company, and my friend to a VC, and basically we continued unofficially to think about projects. Him as a VC and me as a builder.
But what about all you must have had a couple of agreements already in play, your 20, 20, 80, 30, 70 agreements with some other clients. I mean, you're going to go full-time employee now with this other company. You've got to dissolve all of that as well, right?
We just finished for the last customer where we finished the agreement maybe 3 months after I start, and during 3 months it was like all employees were working for them, and I was doing some meetings just to make sure that everything closed smoothly. But at the end, most of them were hired by the companies, so it was, yeah, 3 months of abstract moment with some challenges, but at the end everything was closed. And actually, we closed the company 1 year after because we wanted to finish all the accounting, but we stopped working on other projects 3 months after we decided to move to become an employee.
That is super interesting. So when you become an employee now, I guess you feel like your life didn't change because you were still doing day to day what you were doing before. But kind of in hindsight, I mean, do you feel like that was find it? It's super interesting. Normally, people go the other direction. They don't go in this direction. So, how long were you an employee at that company?
4 years, yeah, 4 years approximately. But so I moved to a stable company with stable salary, with stable vacation, stable everything. But as I said, I discovered the company from the inside by doing a mission, and I definitely felt that it will be not a normal company, but a very laboratory mode company. And when I discussed with the CEO about, are you looking for someone like me? He said, yes. You start on Monday. Oh, by the way, send your resume to the HR. And when I arrived on Monday, where do you want to work? Oh, I have a good project for you in the hardware laboratory. So I joined. I joined a company with a very good feeling where I already made proof by working on the small mission. So basically, I was hired without any question. I joined the hardware lab, and we were only three to create new computers. So it was very challenging. And just maybe we'll discuss after, but 1 year after joining as an hardware engineer, I became the CTO of Scaleway, the cloud computing section of Free. So I wasn't freelancer anymore, but I always was very free and challenged, and I was also allowed to basically make internal entrepreneurship. Because when I created Scaleway, I had to ask money to the board, I had to hire everyone. So I was an employee, but it was definitely just about security, safety, and having a lot of means and budget. But in practice, it was still an entrepreneurship situation.
I'd like you to go back to the high school teachers and say, look at I keep becoming an executive everywhere I go. So I think you guys were wrong. That's pretty wild. So you must have a really, I want to stay with this company for a second, but I feel like you have this talent to manage and lead people. And then people feel some sort of, I don't want to say allegiance. I don't know what the word is, but um, people like working for you, and you have some talent here. Where do you think that talent comes from? Because it's really hard for somebody as technical as you to have the leadership skills that you seem to have, and you've proven that you do, because these last few stories, you constantly go right to the top and start running everything, and people are loyal to you. That's the word I'm looking for. The people are loyal to you. So where do you think that comes from?
So I discovered I had this talent recently because people start telling me that I had this talent. Before it was just just very normal actually. I was just doing the things my way, and doing the things my way is I bootstrap topics, I bootstrap experimentations, and then I share the experimentation, and then I share my enthusiasm about what it could become if we work more on it. And actually, I always convince people to work with me before they work with me. So I don't have to convince them after. I don't have to say, okay, you were hired as a developer. No, let's do this. Actually, we start by what will be the project, what will be the challenge. So first thing is about, I'm definitely bad at sales, but I sell something which is kind of already existing to people who are compatible with me. I speak with engineers. That's actually the only kind of people I can discuss with easily. And yeah, basically I show them my enthusiasm, demonstration, a lot of enthusiasm and curiosity about what it could do. And in general, some people will be afraid. They definitely want something super clear. But so many other people that I enjoy working with can be easily driven by curiosity, a dream, just a vision. And it was not the case in the past. In the past, I didn't have a lot of budget, but right now I also have the budget to basically make their life secure. So join on my cool project, but don't worry, uh, life is managed. You have a salary. There is no problem. The only thing which is unsure is the project itself because it's ambitious.
I'm kind of curious. You're leading technical team, which means you have to have engineering discussions all the time. You must have situations where somebody on your team or a couple of people on your team are sort of in disagreement with you on how to engineer something or the direction to take. And I'm kind of curious how you handle those situations when in your brain you're like, no, we really should go in this direction, but somebody else wants to go in that direction. Um, How do you deal with, how do you handle that and keep that person motivated when you may or may not say yes or no to them?
So in the past, I think I was bad at managing this situation, really bad. No, I'm lucky to have a very good team, and when I say a good team, it's about culture of team. So maybe the first hiring were very awesome, and we have a culture of being easily in disagreement, staying calm, civil, sharing facts, and I have a secret sauce. I usually, even when I disagree, love to lose a little bit of time and money so that people can try their idea. So I can try to just tell them my version. So usually I do. Sometimes I keep it for myself. But if people are so motivated about an idea, they will be motivated. They will do it very well. If they fail, actually, they will be the first ones to try to basically show that they can also change their mind finally. So sometimes I'm surprised and I discover that the solution was very good and better than mine. And if that's not the case, I just say, okay, I see some risk. Please put some limits, put a time limit, put a, I don't know, just make sure to make a draft, to make a demonstration, and eventually we will invest more time in this solution. So yeah, I invest time and invest time in trying things because I think it pays in dividend in the future to let people try their stuff directly. Or
I love that. I love that answer because I do the exact same thing. I don't want to just put my foot down and say no because it's demoralizing and the person doesn't feel like they're being allowed to contribute. And every once in a while, the other person is right. They're right. And so I do the exact same thing. You've got a day or two to prove that this is going to work. And either they come back and say it didn't, or they prove me wrong. And that's how I've learned to build really good teams of loyalty and trust. I love that you said that. I was curious what you were going to say. So that makes me feel a little bit better about the approach I've been taking too.
just the TLDR is yes, I am a natural leader. I consider myself more as a project leader, even if there are human inside, but I'm definitely very bad at management. Um, 3 months ago, I had maybe 15 managers. Today, I have three because I asked someone better than me in management, please, can you manage people, and I will just keep managing the project. So natural leadership, but not a not a manager. And I'm more, yeah, a contributor. When we discuss, I'm not the boss. Maybe I have a vision. So sometimes I am the only one with some initial resources. But when we discuss, then we are all engineers, and some of my engineers are better than me. So now it's more about finding the good way, and sometimes choosing two paths at the same time just to see how it's going.
Well, there's two levels of management here. There's the project management where you're assigning tasks and making sure everybody's staying productive. And I love that part of management. It seems like that's what you want to do. Then there's the other part of people management, which is all the other stuff, which is time consuming, right? It's like on the edge of HR related stuff. And
Even even task allocation, I'm not good at this. So for this, I basically hire managers and technical project managers that are definitely about organizing, structuring, measuring, boosting, anticipating problems. Uh, yeah, I will be bad at this. I'm really about project management, a roadmap like milestones, visions, architecture. So basically splitting a milestone into a DAG, a graph of steps that needs to be done in a certain order.
I find it interesting that you're good at the architecture, you know what has to be built, but you're not good at the resource management of getting that done. I find that interesting.
One of my goal is to develop on the blockchain a system to do this because I'm not good at assigning tasks. So one of my personal dogfooding project will be to write a project management tool. And if it works, the goal will be that I and all my colleagues basically work for the on-chain project management. But yeah,
But why do you think that is? Why do you think that you're having a hard time identifying who should work on what, when, and when things are falling behind and stuff, how to get the team back on track? That's
I'm afraid of giving the bad task. Usually will reorient the discussion so that people are proposing themselves. So basically, if I present a plan, I share the plan. Here is the target. Here are basically the high-level steps. We can make a workshop on a specific step if you want, or we can already share our thoughts. And usually people will naturally raise their hands. Oh, I would love to work on this. And here for me, it's perfect because I know it's early in the plan, it's useful, and you are asking. So please do it. When it's about pointing out that we are not working on the good thing, I can do it. I can say you are not working on a priority, you are working on a side project in the company. It's useful, but we need something else before. I can do this. Assigning tasks, I don't know why. I think I'm still afraid of making a mistake, and I prefer just inviting people to raise their hands. But yeah, I manage people to assign tasks.
yeah, yeah. Everyone's. I mean, at that level, sometimes you have to ask somebody to do something they don't want to do.
I do it sometimes as a favor, or because I know that this part of the project is definitely for this person, or maybe because the person made a bug, or so I can assign one or two tasks. But what I'm really bad at is to make the agile part where I say, okay, this is the next sprint and you will do this. And no, this part I'm bad. Assigning single task, having DMs where I ask, what do you think about working on this point specific? Yeah, I can do this. And I can also figure out, oh, we are definitely not on the most optimistic way. But yeah, assigning as a scrum master or project manager in terms of backlog, no, not me. I can build the backlog. I can build the backlog.
Yeah, yeah. That part I don't want to do at all. That's better served by somebody else. But it's good that you've recognized what your limitations are, and then you have the right people around you to do the things that are really not what you're best at, because then that keeps everything as efficient as possible. That's nice.
I think that I think that's the same for you. As soon as you have a passion, it's so easy to identify the best part of your job that as soon as you are doing something which is not the best part, it's look like, whoa, what I'm doing. So yeah, I think with very passionate project, you quickly identify not your strengths and weaknesses, but your high energy task and low energy task.
So you're at this company. I think you said you were with this company for like 4 years. Is that what you said?
For Scaleway, yes, 2012 to 2016, basically. I started end of 2012.
And what caused you to finally walk away?
Uh, when I leave the company, you mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. What made you decide to move on?
I told my CEO, so I was a CTO. It was great. Everything I wanted to do was possible. The company was growing, and I said, "Whoa! I never hired and never enjoyed working with people who are in the same company for 10 years. I believe they are senior on the resume, but they are junior because they don't have experiences. And I say, I don't want to be like this. I'm too young to have a single long experience. So I told my CEO, hey, I want to leave. I want to try new things, but I don't have a deadline. I don't have a plan. I just know that I'm too young to stay in the same company for 10 years, and the company is growing. So if I don't leave now, it will be harder to leave later. So he said that the best uh, request to leave we can receive as a CEO, because it's not I don't enjoy working with you anymore. Is I just enjoy it, but I have more entrepreneurship needs actually. And he said, wait, I will organize a meeting with you and the big boss of the group. The big boss of the group is Xavier Niel. Xavier Niel is a French entrepreneur investing in maybe 1,000 startups, so very famous in France. And basically, I said to Xavier Niel, yeah, so I want to leave. I don't know when I will go. Maybe I will do just 4 times 6 months, maybe 6 months in Docker, 6 months in AWS, 6 months in. I just wanted to travel, to meet companies, to meet new technologies, and to be sure that I have a diversity of experiences. So he said, okay, so you want to be an employee, you want to have a better resume, but what's the plan after? Are you doing this to have a better resume, to basically being hired by a company? I said, no, I don't know. I just want more diversity. I want to learn. He said, yeah, but what's the goal of doing this? It's to learn something. It's to unlock something. But tell me, you want to work for this company? Okay, I call the CEO. You will work tomorrow. So why are you doing this? And I was just saying, I don't know.
Yeah, because I want to ask you the same question. Where is this coming from? So I think it's amazing that they're basically asking you the same question. This is awesome.
So basically, yeah, I was afraid of becoming the guy with one big project in the resume, and that the next company I will come feeling as a senior, but actually very junior because I will know only a single company, and it was not possible for me. So yeah, I said I want to break this right now. I want maybe in 2 years join a company for 10 years, but right now I want to have more than one company in my resume. And he convinced me that actually it was stupid to try my strategy because the next plan, the final plan after, was not defined. So I was not building my career for a goal, I was building my career for nothing. And he just convinced me to actually make the best thing you can do if you want to learn and discover and diversity. He convinced me to become a founder, a solo founder of a company. So in 2016, at the beginning of the year, I say I will leave. I just have a deadline at the end of the year, but I don't have a plan right now. Maybe it will be sooner, maybe later. And in the same year, I created my first company alone. So this time I was not surrounded by co-founders. I was the founder, the only one responsible for life and death of everyone. So if someone is sick, it's my problem. If if we don't have customers, it's my problem. Everything was my problem.
But what was this company gonna? What problem were you gonna solve?
So we tried to compete with Uber, the car sailing company, as a non-profit alternative. So I created a mobile app named Wulo, and I hired 1,000 drivers, and I tried to compete with Uber. So I hired 6 developers and all the things that you meet.
This guy financed this for you. The
This
guy that.
guy, other guys actually, this guy helped, and I found money on other side too. Yeah.
And what
Uh,
year is this? 2016.
2016 until 2018. So for 2 years,
This
we
dude, this is a huge undertaking. You're about to go after a market that requires a large amount of cash and logistics to get up and running. What you need drivers.
yeah, but
You need.
drivers are paid by people. When I said I hired 1,000 drivers, I onboarded 1,000 drivers on the system with KYC, with everything, so that they can open the platform. The money was to pay salary of engineers and offices, and so it was small money actually. Yeah, it was a non-profit. It's a non-profit, so the goal was not to make money; it was to pay our salary and to just enter the game and make this time a real career boost by competing as a non-profit against the. At the moment, Uber was the number one company, and actually it was also a company with a lot of protest against, etc. So my goal was to be David versus Goliath,
Why?
and
Why this? Why this? What itch did this scratch? You could have done anything.
this one. I wanted a David versus Goliath story where Goliath is evil, and at the moment they were just evil because all the drivers were underpaid and making protests, and Uber was stealing a lot of money to the drivers, to the governments, and basically it was something that I enjoyed because I noticed that Uber is actually a chat, nothing more. It's definitely just a chat. You are not using a text. You are using buttons that will basically generate a request on a room saying I want to travel from here to here, and driver will receive the chat message and reply with okay, count me in, etc. So I was happy to basically find something where people were asking some help because drivers were asking for a better solution, and where technically it was fun to consider, wow, this is the future. Now you can handle your taxi from your phone, but in practice it was just a chat. So it was a good one, and I was expecting to launch during the protest so that the market fit was easy. In practice, it was not. It was super hard. The reason I stopped in 2018 is because drivers were asking a new competitor for Uber and other local competitors. But since they were fucked up by so many people, they just said, "Yeah, but you are good today, but you will become evil too. So we don't trust you." Okay, so you are asking for help. We are offering help. We are offer guarantees. We have the lowest fees in practice. If you are paid on a weekly basis, each ride is good. Even if we become evil in 1 year, each ride you will do with us will be better for you. But yeah,
It's mind blowing to me. The taxi industry, I feel over and over again, they they beat themselves up. Like they do it to themselves. I would have no problem using a taxi if I could get the same convenience I get from Uber. I don't care who picks me up, dude. I just want to get picked up within 5 minutes, and I want to walk out of the car and the payment happen. I hate having to pull my credit card out. I was just in Greece where everything is there, it's cash. I have to go to the ATM to get a taxi drive because it's all cash. And I feel like the taxi industry, somebody should have smelled Uber coming, and the taxi industry should have beat them to it before they can get started. I don't understand it, man.
yeah, so it was a good project on paper. It was so exciting to build, so exciting to test because the test is in real life. You have your computer in taxis. You are trying multiple GPS configuration. So yeah, the building part was so cool. The launch was exciting and disappointing. And after some point, we try to just take a step back and say, okay, what we need to make it a success or to prove it's possible to make a success, we need to be able to have drivers when we need them, plus riders when we need them. Oh, sorry, I have the feature you dislike. So basically, we enumerated all the things we need to control, and if we have control on all of them, then we can try to make the everything needed to become big enough. Because if you are not big enough, you don't have your taxi in 5 minutes, but in 10 or 20. So basically, you are a bad service. And we figure out a way to control some of them, but not all of them. So we said it's too complicated. Drivers are not helping us as we were expecting it. It's hard to basically control drivers, riders, time, location, etc. at the same time. So we gave up, and after I created another company.
It's dude, dude. I mean, when you look at Uber, Grab, and Gojek, and the ones that have really been able to sustain, I mean, massive logistics. It's the logistics, not the tech that scares me. The logistics of everything around it that scares me on that project. It's mind blowing. So so what did you decide to do? So, but you learned a ton over those 2 years. I mean, learned a ton. So when you decide to shut it down, where's your head now?
Um, I Yeah, so I have the American culture on this part. The failure was so useful and good. It was hard to manage frustration from my team because they were more French state of mind and considering the failure as something very bad. But actually, I created another project. I said, okay, we were bad with humans, we were bad with drivers and riders. Let's do what the reason why you join me, but let's remove the human needs. Let's make something which is technical and where people are using it if they want. I proposed to my ex-employees to join my new project, and most of them did. And basically, we switched to a chat, but this time a peer-to-peer and cryptography chat. So Berty. And here the goal was to basically do the same, make a project that we love to work on, but where we don't need to control the adoption. We created a chat without server. just using peer-to-peer technologies and cryptography for privacy, etc. And the goal was to, we don't care about adoption. We have nothing to sell. We are just providing mobile apps that can connect to other mobile apps. We don't have infrastructure, etc.
Okay, time out for a second. I want to hear more about this, obviously, but how can you start? How can you pay people if there's no revenue model? Because you're telling me that there is no product, we're not going to charge anybody, but we're all going to work on this and we're all going to buy milk tomorrow. Because where does the money come from for these types of projects? There has to be some financial incentive to invest in anything.
I made fundraising, but I didn't give any shares in exchange. So basically, I found donators, rich donators that just so they enjoyed that I tried to compete with Uber, and here I was trying to compete with also big players like the GAFAM, and they actually I think they are fan of my passion to try to disrupt evil people, evil big companies and organizations. So basically, I found money. I found free money to pay my people. It was a fundraising. I gave any share, but it was a fundraising actually.
So what is the pitch? The pitch is I want to disrupt this industry. So let me have a little money and
The pitch was we don't have any single trustable solution to use if you want to speak securely with someone with any doubt. If you want, for instance, uh, to send a message to someone and you say my life depends on it, there is no single solution you can trust fully. Maybe you will say Signal is the best of them, but even here you don't know everything.
because it's centralized. So you're saying I don't trust that it's end-to-end encryption.
It's centralized, and you don't have access to the server. Um, and sorry, I didn't finish. The first part was about how can I send something to someone with and I want to be sure that only me and the recipient are able to decrypt it. The second point where Signal has more problems is about privacy in terms of being stealth. On Signal, even when you have end-to-end encryption, technically you have the centralization of servers. Centralization is about being able for them, I don't know if they do, but they have the power to censor you. They have the power to stop the communication. They have the power to get information about you with what we name the metadata. Metadata is not about decrypting, it's about having your network of friends, the amount of messages, the size of messages. If you listen to the ex-director of NSA, he was saying we kill people with metadata. So encryption is about privacy of the message itself, but in practice, as soon as you rely on central applications, in practice you have the metadata and you have risk of censorship. If you take another example, I was speaking about Signal here, which is definitely the best player in that field, but centralized and with some parts that are not open source, or we can't control everything. Another player, which is WhatsApp. WhatsApp paid, I think, something like 800 millions of bills for abuse with data. They have, I don't know how many thousands of developers, and it's a free application. So they have end-to-end encryption. WhatsApp is something with end-to-end encryption with, I don't know, billions of investment every year. I don't know what is behind, but there is something actually. It's not possible to.
So let me ask you a question because I I hear what you're saying. I want decentralized peer-to-peer encrypted communication between two phones. But at the end of the day, and try to answer this in 2 or 3 minutes. You still have to have some sort of way of identifying that you exist as a user and I exist as a user, and I want to connect to your phone right now, right? Your IP address is changing all the time when you're on your cellular networks and all that nasty stuff. So there has to be something you connect to that is going to be able to communicate to whatever I'm connecting to in order to at least facilitate the connection between us. So what was your idea to do that where it's not centralized, it's decentralized and distributed but there's some form of discovery on who I can talk to on this network.
So we used an enhanced a famous library named libpeer2peer, libp2p by Protocol Labs. libp2p manage most of what you said, and if you, for people who are not so much aware of libpeer2p and the problem of discoverability you are speaking about, when you are in local network, you have, for instance, MDNS, you have broadcast. You can send something to 255, etc. It's a way on local networks to discover people. It's definitely about discoverability. So you can, for instance, connect to host name, and host name is not an IP, so you need to resolve host name. And if you don't have host name in a DNS server, another way is to basically broadcast, hey, I am host name, I am host name, I am host name. Your computer receives information, remember that the IP address match this, and then you can connect to an IP address, even if you type the host name. So this is one, this is local, and this is basically easy, and we have our alternative. On the internet, you will need something similar to the broadcast, but through a network of computers. So libp2p for the internet has a main driver named DHT. So it's not a driver, DHT is a concept, distributed hash table, where you have a network of nodes, and each node is aware of some of the network, not all of the network. And basically, it's a mechanism where if you are looking for something, you can ask to your direct peers. Let's say you have 16 peers. The 16 peers, maybe your contact is in the 16, so it's a direct lookup. If it's not the case, then you will ask some of those peers, hey, I'm looking for this peer. Do you know him? Do you know it? Or maybe you can ask also on your peers recursively. And the DHT is about being able to basically have a database, have a key value store shared on the internet where no one has the full database, but you can look up, wait, because it can take time, and to receive the answer. Once you have this, the problem is to find your contact. So it's about defining a way to identify yourself. As soon as you know to identify yourself, you can then broadcast, hey, I am here, or not even broadcast, wait for someone to ask, do you know this name? And I will say, yes, I know this name, it's me. So I even don't have to broadcast myself. I just have to wait for someone to ask me, do you know something? Yes, it's me, and here's my IP address, and maybe some secrets to make a secure uncheck. So DHT is an internet version of local broadcast. It's about sending a message and being able to subscribe to what's happening. And in practice, it's like a key value database, but without any central point.
Do you have to stand up your own servers for that, or they're publicly available servers that you can?
Yeah, with Squat IPFS network, libp2p network. Actually, we create a network on mobile for Bluetooth, but it's because we wanted to have a local DHT. And while developing, we also created our own network because it's sometimes so. It's a decentralized system. You can't just kill your daemon and start again if you want to start from scratch. So for development purpose, we created our own network. So when we need, we shut down 10 nodes and we resume 10 nodes. In practice, for production, we just don't want to have an infrastructure, so we squat existing infrastructure. IPFS is about 100,000 servers in the world. And one of the ideas was to maybe use the BitTorrent one. BitTorrent is about 21 million servers. So it's definitely better to squat existing networks more than creating a new one.
All right. So the idea is that you would know about an IPFS node that's local to you. You would start connecting to that to get the discovery.
Yes and no, because IPFS is so libp2p is definitely the networking part. IPFS is one of the. It's like HTTP over TCP. libp2p will give you TCP, and then you create protocols, HTTP, FTP, and IPFS is one, and Berty protocol was another one. So you find the peer, you discover the capabilities. One of the capabilities could be IPFS version 1, another one Berty version 1, another one maybe, I don't know, a media relayer or whatever. So yeah, similar to the existing infrastructure, but adapted to the decentralized world.
Did you ever get this thing built and deployed?
Yeah, it's already on the App Store. Berty Messenger is using a protocol that we named Wesh, like mesh protocol, but Wesh protocol, wireless mesh. And basically, it's in the field delay network of DTN, sorry, delay tolerant networks. So it's a field of mesh.
What's the name? What's the name of the app? So it's in the App Store right now.
Berty Messenger. So it's a demonstration. It's not. It's definitely not an application you should use for important reasons, but it can show you the concept. It can show you that you can switch to airplane mode and communicate through Bluetooth. You can be in the desert without internet and still continue to work. But yeah,
I guess it doesn't cost you anything at this point because you're leveraging existing networks that are out there. So,
yeah, no cost except GitHub Pro salaries, but
well, is that still being developed? Is that something that's still active today?
yes, but very slowly. Right now, the Berty team is more trying to find real social social apps organization to use a protocol. Berty Messenger is a demonstration of the Wesh Network protocol, and Wesh Network is definitely the target. Berty is an NGO, is still a non-profit, and the non-profit goal is to create protocols for other people. So here we solve the decentralized messenger, and the goal is to find someone with marketing and product skills to make a product and embed the protocol. Right now, we have one team embedding it in some kind of decentralized Discord, and basically they have all the announcement part with their system, and they want to add the DMs and the public groups with the Wesh network. So it's a demonstration, not so much maintained.
So we got like 15 minutes left here. So I want to jump a little bit. How do you end up at Gno.land? What? How do you end up there? How do you start looking at blockchain?
So I was working on Berty. So from 2018, I started Berty after Wolo, after the taxi company. 2018 to 2021 or 2022, I was full time on Berty, and basically I was doing peer-to-peer and cryptography. Peer-to-peer and cryptography are the main components of blockchains, but I was not aware about what is a blockchain. So, first I tried to understand alone, and I discovered that actually I was building the opposite. Berty is about using peer-to-peer and cryptography to never have a consensus because I want to be network split friendly. I want to be able to have two versions of what is the truth, while a blockchain is the opposite. Peer-to-peer and cryptography to have a single source of truth, to have a consensus. So once I discovered this, I said, "Whoa, it could be fun and actually relatively quick for me with my background to start blockchains." I was looking for a blockchain project simple to read in Go, and I found a project started by Jaycon, the creator of Gno, and basically the README was saying blockchain written in Go to write Go smart contracts, and Go was my language. So I said that sounds good. Let's try. I made what you usually do when you find a cool project on GitHub. I download it, I try to compile it, I try to build, I find bugs, I open bug reports, I open pull requests. And actually, Jayquan was very famous because he launched Tendermint, the Byzantine fault tolerant protocol powering so many blockchains today. And he launched multiple blockchains. And he had a huge reputation, but as you can imagine, in the blockchain world, when you have a good reputation, your fan base won't be builders by default. They will be investors so basically he had activity on the repo, but the only activity that was about coder was mine. I opened pull requests to change things, to improve things, to get documentation, and I was lucky enough that actually it was 1 year while Jay was working alone. So he quickly discussed with me, "Oh, I love your idea. Let's try to do this. Oh, that sounds good, etc." We switched to a chat, we discussed, and at some point I discovered that he was actually someone I admire, someone really a genius in his field, in mixing Go and algorithms to solve things, to solve problems. And It was hard for me, but after 3 months just contributing on the side, I decided to stop working on Berty and to become this time not a founder, an employee of the blockchain company.
Yeah, it's wild. So another sort of win for open source contribution, finding your next gig.
Open source is my life. I'm an open source addict, and if I never had to show any resume, it's definitely thanks to open source. I remember when I wanted to quit Scaleway, my first company in my list was Docker. And I made Docker application, and basically they just say, okay, with your GitHub, we will just ask you, we'll just provide you some meetings so you can be convinced that the company is good. There was no question asked, no technical test, nothing. So open source was my resume. And yeah, I stopped 2 or 3 months ago to commit every day, but for 8 years I committed every day. So yeah, open source is my comfort zone, and it's what gave me the opportunity to meet Jay and to start working on Gno.
I want to ask you some personal questions here because I spent a year learning blockchain, building some, like I said, reference material, not anything you'd ever put in production. But it was a very tricky time for me that year because the the crypto space has given blockchain a black eye, and these are two separate things. The blockchain technology is really interesting and technical and solid, and I don't think there's ever been a hack on Ethereum, right? Like or Bitcoin. But all these smart contracts that these crypto people have sort of adopted have created all sorts of fraud and problems. But the average developer who doesn't know the difference brings those two things together. So it was a very tricky year for me because I had to be very careful when I said I was learning and working on blockchain because the immediate reaction that people would give me is, oh, you're contributing to the fraud. So I'm kind of curious because you're deep into this. Like I did it for a year and it was educational material, but like you're doing this day in and day out. Do you have those same sort of interactions when you meet people and you say I'm working on blockchain? Uh, how do you feel about that? How do you deal with that if you are?
On my side, I think like you in a country which is a good country, no censorship, no war. Actually, I feel safe. I feel in a democracy, etc. So I'm definitely blockchain enthusiast. But the vision I have is uh, is today for countries with censorship, with wars, and it's tomorrow for me, for my kids. So basically, my the reason I do blockchains and the reason we do blockchains with my teammates, because we can discuss blockchains for months in the group without speaking about money. And this is why I love this team. We are definitely not just trying to have a trend or to whatever. We understand that we are creating a single virtual unstoppable computer with a monorepo where where you have the highest level of verifiability and transparency. You can verify from A to Z anything, and this does not exist today. So you don't feel that you are missing something. But once we will release, what I think is basically it will be hard for people using and writing on GNO to then switch back to, I don't know, just using an API. Even if the API is open source on GitHub, you are interacting with a black box server. You are interacting with a TCP. You don't know if they have the good version. You don't know what they are doing. And yeah, I'm speaking about open source code. But if you interact with um, closed source systems or with organizations you don't trust, I think we are creating something new here, which is about trusting and being able to verify. So basically, the ethos of open source. If you look at open source ethos, it's about verifiability, being able to read what you execute, to adapt, to do everything. So
Let me ask you this question. Let me ask you this question because I like the idea that this is a blockchain that's not going to be revolving around financial transactions, and so I'm not going to be contributing to the fraud that's happening today on platforms like Ethereum. I love that, but the question that comes back to my brain is that these sort of blockchains are only as good as the number of nodes, and running a node is expensive. It costs money. There's electricity, there's a server. And so what is the not financial, what is the incentive for Bill Kennedy to spend money running a node for Gno? Like, what is my incentive to do that and invest, even if it's $500 a year? Why?
There is three things to say. One is we don't build blockchains like Bitcoin and Ethereum with thousands and thousands of servers. We are building blockchains with a target size of about 100 servers, maybe less, maybe more, but really they are small blockchains. They are the category of environmental friendly blockchains. Ethereum and Bitcoin are definitely about quantity, and in case of Bitcoin, it's also about using a lot of energy. So first thing is we don't need validators. We need some of them, but we don't need everyone to be a validator. We target to create blockchains of 100 validators for 100,000 or millions of users. Our target is a user, is a developer, not the validator. Then, in terms of incentivization, sorry, you have two of them. One can be money. We are not financial driven, but we will have some tokenomics. We will have source of revenue. The main difference between other blockchains and us is that in other blockchains, if you are rich, you have power and you earn money because you were rich in the past. Here, we want to reward people for their contribution. So we are not looking on how much money you have to get your score. We are giving you a score because you make contributions. Contributions can be to develop something, to translate something, to organize something, to organize a meetup, to fill a bug or whatever. And validators are paid thanks to the tokenomics, but they can also be considered as contributors. So first incentive is money. Second incentive is because you need it. If your application requires to be decentralized and you want this application, you can also just provide infrastructure to power your business. If you look at another blockchain ecosystem, Solana, maybe I'm wrong now, but it was the case 6 months ago. The validator tokenomics was bad. It was not profitable to be a validator, but people were running validator because they was needing the blockchain to sell their services. So one of them is about just sharing the load and mutualizing the effort to run what we need. But the other one is definitely to make money. We will make money. You will make money as a contributor. Validators will make money. But we just don't want to risk any corruption, because if someone is rich, he can take power. So if someone comes quickly in a single transaction with a lot of money, he can in a single transaction get a lot of power. Contribution is slow. We want to know the developer to go slowly and to distribute with something which is less about corruption and other financial problems.
Well, I like the idea that I want to deploy this app on the blockchain because it's going to generate revenue however it does. And so I'll invest on that computer because I need it there. And I'm leveraging the other 100 computers that are there. I like that idea. That to me makes a lot of sense. Blockchains inherently have tokenomics. I don't know if there's any way around that. So I wonder, one question that I wonder is, how is that token seeded in initially?
So we make an initial distribution. We make what we call genesis in blockchains. So the block 0 will create 1 billion of the native token. Native token is what you need for gas. In other blockchain, it can be used for gas and to invest and generate revenues. Here, it's a gas token. We share the gas token, and then people will. We have an airdrop. So basically, we took every users of another blockchain we created in the past. So we have an initial user base of 600,000 users, and we will also give a lot of money, a lot of gas token to some organizations, and some of them, the only goal will be to distribute to newcomers. For instance, we will have what we name a GitHub faucet. GitHub faucet is you are a GitHub developer, you don't have money yet, you cannot make a transaction, you cannot even register yourself. Just prove you are a GitHub active user, active user, click here, and you will receive some token to pay the transactions. So yeah, initially 1 billion distributed into between existing users and what we name community pools. And community pools will allow to create distribution systems. But at the beginning you have this, and after you can expect companies and other systems to basically help onboarding users.
It's almost like grants. It's like, I want to do this. Can you grant me some money? And somebody says yes. Here's the tokens you need to do that, and you can do what you. Yeah, that's interesting. That's super interesting. I like that. With the last few minutes we have left, tell me what you're thinking now about your career and kind of where you are. And I imagine that right now you're pretty focused on this project, and you don't see much beyond it. When is this project going to be also? Is the project now this? I think the last time we talked last year, it wasn't ready yet necessarily for developers to start really building on it. So the two questions is, what do you kind of, where's your head right now about your career and what you're working on? And then when is this blockchain going to be available for like prime time?
So let's reply to the second question first. We expect to launch a first version of the project this year where people can build applications and use it, actually, something you can use. And for my career, right now, I'm still very required. I consider myself like a founder in the sense of I can't just do my job. I need to do what needs to be done, and it goes beyond my title. So right now we need this, but we're lucky enough to hire very good people. So potentially, my next career move will be to stay in the same company, but to step down from my executive role to become, I don't know, R&D engineer, R&D leader, or whatever. I definitely want to build stuff on this new system. It's like we are creating Go again. It's like we're creating GitHub again. It's like we're creating a new ecosystem for rich apps, not only financial apps. So I'm so excited to be a user, and I just want to basically say, okay, core team, manage the project, and I will try to build stuff I want that can serve as demonstration. So still useful for the growth and for other reason. And so yeah, probably next career move is to step down to contributor and R&D in general, but in the same project.
What is Tendermint's role in all this? Because they do have I think they have an amazing name in the industry. Like when you think Tendermint and I think blockchain, I feel like they have a reputation that's really, really solid. So what is their role in this project?
Tendermint is a company, so I work for Tendermint. For new Tendermint, because there was multiple rename, and we also wanted to isolate Gno in a new structure. So I work for new Tendermint, and Tendermint is the company bootstrapping and having initial portion of the genesis. So basically, we take a bet. We don't have any business plan except making this project adopted so that our initial distribution gain enough value so we can go to the next level. The next level is about trying to become a university, but I'm speaking about university like in 19th century. So the ones creating like Bell Labs, for instance, behind Plan 9, etc. And university is about having money to make the life secure for searchers, for professors, so that they can build the internet, they can build the operating system, they can build everything we are using today. I think most of the very good things we have today come from university, but not the one about just having students, the one about having the best searchers in the world. So right now we want to launch, we want to have adoption, and the next generation is to use our, our blockchain to create a new kind of university where we can pay the best searcher in the world to build new products, not only on Gno, to build the new internet. So this is where we are going. And basically, it will be about building new stuff, probably related, but managed by the blockchain itself in terms of money, in terms of systems, etc. So yeah, creating a university is the next goal for Tendermint. And Tendermint is a company. Blockchains are not owned by companies. So the role of Tendermint is to bootstrap. That's all. We bootstrap, we launch, and when it's launched, it's not owned, not uh, controlled by Tendermint anymore. We become a company with interest, with money in the system, and our interest is to make this system better for the ecosystem and for us.
I'm curious, do you have transpilers for Solidity code to the Go code? Like I have a smart contract I'm playing with right now just to learn, and it's a simple one. It would be nothing for me to probably code it by hand, but I mean, do you want that? Do you want people to be able to come in and adopt quickly by transpiling existing Solidity code, or are you just like, I don't want any of that here, so we're not going to make that easy?
We are interested by the Solidity community, but in practice, transpiling is I don't expect a transpiler to do a good job because it's also about good practices, about writing effective Go code. And I think Ethereum is a leader, but they also made so many strange things. And I think one of our role is to unfuck the mind of Solidity developers. So we don't want to basically replicate everything. We start from scratch. We know what people are looking for, but we're taking the risk to be different and to be more like Plan 9 than Solidity. So transpiler is definitely something I already heard from someone I met during an event. I think it will happen. I won't be behind, definitely, but probably someone in the community will write a transpiler. I'm not sure I will ask people to use it. Something I wanted to do at some point, something I wanted to do was to create a Solidity VM in Gno. So basically, you can upload your bytecode and then you can expect it to run on Gno. This is something I could work on.
So this is going to be my last question because it just popped in my head. I mean, you said that you're working on this particular blockchain because it's not going to be financial focused, but it's still a decentralized, distributed network at the end of the day. So, and there's tokenomics. So you can't really prevent somebody from writing an NFT based sort of contract or DAO based contract and suddenly creating fraud in a sense on the network. You can't stop it because it's not centralized, right?
It's permissionless. Permissionless, you don't control. But it's about not being focused. In essence, we won't filter, and we will have so many DeFi stuff because people making money on Ethereum will try to make money on Gno. So we have nothing to say. NFTs and everything will come. No. We are trying to show that we can do more, that we can do things like forum. We want to show examples. That's why I said maybe my next career move is to actually write next generation of apps that are not possible on other ecosystems. So it's not about preventing financial, it's about making the core team and everything not financial focus and making all the documentation examples on new things. And finally, we can prevent some parts of bad finance because the consensus itself, we are not using proof of stake, which is based on money, or proof of work, which is based on money you invest in GPU. We are using proof of contribution. So on this point, money is definitely safe. On what people will build, yeah, it's permissionless. We can't control, but we can highlight the non-financial applications.
But I could stand up my own GNO blockchain if I wanted to and run my own 50 nodes if I wanted to. I could do that.
You can do that, and we will do also. We don't want to run a single chain. We come from the Cosmos ecosystem, and basically you have Ethereum who says there will be a single big winner blockchain and some L2, and there is the other spirit, so the Cosmos spirit from JCon Tendermint, which is the Internet of Blockchains. It's about having thousands or millions of super small blockchains focused on something. So us, the core team, the Gno.land blockchain, actually it will be probably multiple blockchains. Maybe we'll have, I don't know, big attachment.gno.land, which will be a blockchain focused on storage. Maybe we'll have another one, I don't know, ultrafast.gno.land, which will be a blockchain with some limitation, but super fast block time. So we want to create multiple blockchains to make some sharding, to make some specialization, and to actually we work on two things: the blockchains and the pipe. The pipe is IBC, interblockchain. It's a protocol to have blockchains that are definitely like an opaque bubble, but we have ways to send and receive things from blockchains. So
But can I stand up my own 50 node blockchain and restrict? Would there be settings to restrict what nodes can participate in the network? Is there a protocol I can choose for that?
Yep, you can use proof of authority. Proof of authority
Proof of authority. Okay.
is tokenomics less, and you are responsible to have good validators, and you can run a centralized blockchain if you want.
So you have the different proofs that you can, the proof of authority. I can't remember the name of it. But yeah. So that would be a way of saying I'm building an app. It's going to run on this blockchain. I'm controlling the nodes. There won't be any fraud here, as opposed to I'm going to start a blockchain. I'm gonna really let it open up. In which case anything can happen because it's in the ecosystem that way.
That's definitely what we are working on. The IBC pipe I was talking about is about allowing people to run blockchains. And what we want to exchange is not money. There will definitely be money exchange because it's permissionless, but we want to also exchange source code. So you can expect Gno.land to be like the GitHub where you have all the good libraries, and then you can run Bill.land, and Bill.land will be your chain with your application, but you can still basically go mod download. Here it will be Gno IBC fetch. You can download your dependencies, so your application is focused on what you are building, and you can rely on super strong libraries made by the community.
All right, we're totally out of time here, man. So I want to thank you for all your time here and threw some tough questions at you, and you answered them beautifully. So I appreciate that. If anybody wants to talk to you, Manfred, after listening to the show, what is the best way for people to reach out?
GitHub.
GitHub. What about you're not on Twitter?
I am Twitter at Moul, MOUL.
We'll get that into the show notes. I'm sure.
No,
What?
no DM, just in public.
No jams. Got to be up public there. All right, that's fair. But I'm sure people will have questions, especially those. I do have people that follow me that are still in the space, and I'm sure they'll be really interested in the project after hearing this.
So I suggest sending me public question on GitHub, or maybe adding question to your Twitter post with the podcast link, and I will read and reply.
All right, this is Manfred and Bill Kennedy signing off from the On Labs podcast, and we hope to see everybody again real soon.